Alright everyone, this is what you've been waiting for. This is the 2022 Perodua Alza. This is a second generation 7-seater MPV which aims to improve on every aspect of the outgoing model. There is a new engine, a new powertrain, new features, not just for the Alza but new for Perodua. And there is a new understanding of what it means to redefine versatility. My name is Aiman Abdullah, this is MalaysianMotoring. This is a very quick walk around of the new Perodua Alza. Now the new Perodua Alza brings with it a lot of new technology, some of which we've seen before and some of which we haven't. Now some of the features that you can see immediately on this car are things like the new design. The front end of the Alza is now bluff with a very prominent face to it. Now this is the AV model, which means you get a chrome bar here, a black bar up here and black pins along the grille, making this car look very premium indeed. You also get full LED headlights with sequential turn indicators, standard for the H and AV models, and also standard on the H and AV models are adaptive driving beam, which means that you can use high beam for more of the time and the beams will adapt themselves to ensure that you do not glare other road users. Also new for the Alza is this, an LED fog light. Now the reason why fog lights are included in this car is because Malaysian weather is known to be quite difficult, and so for added visibility you now have high intensity LEDs down on the bumper. Now moving on to the side of the new Alza, you can see that this car runs on 16-inch dual tone alloy wheels with a diamond cut finish and black inserts. Overall, the side of the car really shows what's changed with the Alza. It is now wider and longer than before while being slightly taller than what the car used to be. It also has a slightly improved ride height because Perodua says this is the optimum ride height for an MPV. In terms of the design, the side profile shows off things like a very strong character line that runs from the headlight all the way to the tail lights, as well as flared wheel arches to give this car a little bit more character. What is worth noteworthy is the fact that this AV model also comes with a chrome strip that runs all the way down the mirrors before it culminates in a little bit of chrome right by the tailgate, making this car look a lot more premium. Tying it in with other Peroduas is of course the dual VVTi badge on the fender on the right side, as well as the black wing mirror caps. Now at the rear of the Alza you can see there is a lot of surface play here in order to make the car look a little bit more premium. You also get two-piece full LED tail lights with LED indicators and reverse lights, a first for Perodua. Now like I said, the surfacing here is very complex, again to make the car look a little bit more premium. And also when you're looking at this car dead on from the rear, you can see the flared wheel arches and all of this surface play to make the car look lower and wider and more stable. Now the thing about the Alza is that it is versatility redefined, which means that you now have more practicality too. Even with the third row in place, you now get a lot more space back here. You can actually get away with putting soft bags in here, which is enough for a family of 5 for, you know, a weekend trip or that sort of thing. Or of course you can just fold these seats very easily by pulling this tab. And the seats fold perfectly flat. Now in this configuration you get a lot more cargo room than before, making this a much more practical vehicle for those who have a family of 5, for example, and need to carry a lot of luggage, or in fact Alza users as they stand today who use their cars for business purposes. Now enough talking about the exterior, because there's a lot more to explore inside, so let's go in there. Now in the front end of the new Alza, you can tell that Perodua has really tried to step things up in here. You have a dual tone interior with this dark brown color on the dash, and again a lot more surface play to make this car feel more upmarket. You also have a raised center console, again in an attempt to make this car feel a little bit more premium than before. Now we're going to touch on technology very quickly because there is a lot to cover. Right here we have an electronic parking brake, a first for Perodua and only available in the Alza AV. Now with the electronic parking brake, that means that this car also comes with auto hold, which means that when you stop at traffic lights and so on, the car can hold itself for up to 3 minutes, which is certainly a great feature. Now if you don't get the Alza AV, you get a handbrake right here, which means you do lose out on this very small cubby area and this nice armrest. But it's not really that big of a deal. Now up front, you get a new design Perodua steering wheel, different from what we've seen on the Myvi and the Ativa, but a lot of the functions are still here. You get the buttons for the cruise control on the right, buttons to control the multi-info display on the left, and you now get two new buttons. One is drive, which changes the drive modes between eco, normal and power, and you also get a camera button which triggers the 360-degree surround view monitor, again exclusive to the AV. What is also exclusive to the AV is this new 9-inch head unit. Now the H model also gets a 9-inch head unit, but this is the only one that comes with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Finally, Perodua is listening to what its customers want, and we are so happy that this is finally here, because it means that I no longer have to put my phone in a phone holder. Anyway, that's more of a personal gripe. You still get regular automatic air conditioning accessible via this digital meter here, but a big improvement over the first generation Alza. You now get blowers that send cold air from the first row to the second and third rows, which means it'll be a lot easier to keep this car cool. Now, to wrap up on the technology, as I mentioned earlier, there is a multi-info display here. This is basically the same instrument cluster that you get in the Perodua Ativa, which means you get a digital speedometer on the right and a color TFT display on the left. And this TFT display is what controls the majority of this car's functions, including service reminders and special dates and so on and so forth. This will also serve as the main display for this car's advanced driver assist features. Now in the second row of the Perodua Alza, you can see there is plenty of space. This car's improved wheelbase means that there is a huge improvement in terms of cabin room, and for 5 adults there would certainly be plenty of space in here. The middle seat is a little bit flat and it lacks scalloping and is a little narrow, so don't put adults in here for too long, but you could fit 3 adults abreast back here without issue. In terms of rear accoutrements, you do get cup holders here on the side, bottle holders down here on the door, and you even get a third cup holder here in the middle, which is kind of cute. You also get a couple of USB-A ports down here, charging at 2.1 amps, which means you can keep lower powered battery devices juiced up without too much issue. Now, these second row seats have a couple of tricks up their sleeve. Number one, you can slide these seats quite a distance. As you can see, I am right up against the guy in front, which means the third row now has plenty of space. This also means that I can recline this seat if I can find the infernal lever, and I can rest to a pretty ridiculous degree, if you ask me. This looks slightly inappropriate, but the point is, you can do it. This does mean that even if you have an adult in here, I am the national average, I can actually tuck my feet in underneath the seat in front of me, and to be honest, this isn't too bad. However, the guy in the middle here probably cannot have legs. Now, we'll see if the guy in the middle with no legs is the only person who'll be comfortable in the third row. Now, getting into the third row is actually a lot easier than before because it has a one-touch tumble feature. So all you have to do is pull this little lever. It folds forward a bit violently, and then it folds like that, giving you a huge amount of space to step in the back. Now, in the third row of the Perodua Alza, with the rear headrest deployed, there is actually a decent amount of space. Now, it is worth noting that this seat is set almost to its furthest back position, and despite my height, I still have about a finger's width of knee room. And because this car has what's known as concert seating, whereby each tier of seats or each row of seats is set a little bit higher than the other, it means that even back here I have great visibility through the car and access to the roof-mounted aircon blower vents, which is something that Perodua Alza buyers really wanted. So even though I'm all the way back here, I'm still very comfortable and I can feel the air conditioning on my face, which means this should be a lot better for Malaysian weather. And as I mentioned earlier about the concert seating, because this pew is set a little bit higher, it does mean that I can tuck in half of my feet underneath the seat in front of me. Now, I wouldn't recommend this for long drives for adults, but for short periods, you can actually put full-size adults back here and they wouldn't whinge or complain. This is a huge improvement over the outgoing Alza, where it really felt that the third row was only meant for children. This means that, true to form, the second generation Alza really does redefine versatility. Now, to talk about safety, we have to touch on what this Alza has to offer, and it really is a lot. All cars come as standard with ASA 3.0, meaning that it comes with autonomous emergency braking, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, and so on. But the flagship model comes with the full Perodua Smart Drive Assist system, which has now been upgraded. So in addition to active lane keep, adaptive cruise control, and so on, you now get adaptive cruise control with stop and go function, which means this car can now drive itself through traffic. Which means that once the car stops, all you have to do is press the resume button or tap on the accelerator and the car will continue along its journey. This will no doubt be a huge benefit to Alza customers, the majority of which live in town and have to deal with day-to-day traffic. In fact, this feature is so valuable that even though I have no wife or children, I kind of want an Alza now. Now, I apologize for the noise because this engine is running, which means it's hot and noisy. Now, under the bonnet is a 1.5-litre dual VVTi engine, the same mill that we've seen in the Aros and the Myvi. However, for the Alza, it has been up-tuned ever so slightly to produce 1 more Newton meter of torque and about 3 more horsepower. This should no doubt be enough to power this car for all your needs, should the car be full up with people and luggage, and there shouldn't be any issues at all. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, this car does come with 3 selectable drive modes, those being Eco, Normal and Power. Power mode should be great for when you're trying to climb hills, especially Genting, because I know a lot of you will ask me that question. And Eco and Normal mode should be fine for highway and city driving. Now let's talk about price. The Perodua Alza will be made available in 3 variants, X, H and AV. The X model should start at 62,000 ringgit estimated, while the mid-spec model should start at about 68,000 ringgit estimated. The full-spec AV, like the one that we've seen here with its semi-leather interior, full PSDA suite and so on, should start at about 72,000 ringgit. This marks a very steep increase over the previous generation Alza. However, according to Perodua's internal surveys, Perodua Alza customers are happy to pay more given the fact that this car provides a lot more value, a lot more features, a lot more technology and a lot more safety than ever before, while being powered by an all-new engine that is more efficient than ever before too. What do you think about the new Perodua Alza? Let us know in the comment section below. In any case, that's been a very quick walk around of the new 2022 Perodua Alza. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell icon so you're notified every time we make a new upload. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. All the links are in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. And if you want more Alza content, we've got a gear up video too.